graders, and welcome to lesson 83 on proportions. This is one of my most favorite lessons in the whole world because proportions are very useful to solve at least 50% of word problems can be solved with a proportion. I'm convinced of it. So they're very, very, very helpful. Here we go. A true statement that two ratios are equal. That's what a proportion is. It's just telling us that two ratios are equal to each other. So for example, 3/4 equals 6/8. We know that, right? 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8. So this proportion would read 3 is to 4 as 6 is to 8. Right? 3 is to 4 as 6 is to 8. It means that these two fractions are equal. These two ratios are equal. So here's one example you might get. Which ratio forms a proportion with 2/3? So remember what I said. Proportions mean that the fractions or the ratios are equal to each other when in their simplest form. So we've got 2/3. We need to multiply both the 2 and the 3 times the same number to get one of these fractions. If I multiply, what would I have to multiply 2 by to get 2? 1. What about 3 to get 4? See, that's different, so that's not equivalent. What about 2 to 3? No. What about 2 to 4? 2 times 2. What about 3 to 6? 3 times 2. So, since we multiplied both of them by 2, this is the ratio that will form a proportion with 2/3. Think about it. If I wrote it this way, okay, that shows us that 2/3 equals 4/6. If I reduce 4/6 and I reduce 2/3, I will get the same thing. Example B, write this proportion with digits. I want you to try this off to the side and then hit play and see if you did it right. Using the example above, you should be able to figure this out. 4 is to 6. 4 is to 6. This is showing me that 4 and 6 are related some way. That's why they're in the same fraction, because they're related to each other. So 4 is to 6 as 6 is to 9. 4 is to 6 as 6 is to 9. Okay, this is a proportion. And you might say, well, Mrs. Williams, I don't know how to do that. How would I multiply 4 times a number to get 6? Because it would be a decimal number that you would multiply this by. I also could reduce them both to figure that out. To reduce this fraction, I would say that 2 goes into 4 2 times, 2 goes into 6 3 times, 3 goes into 6 2 times, 3 goes into 9 3 times. So both of those fractions would have reduced to the same thing, to 2/3. That's how I know that they are a proportion. But the other way that we can know that it's a proportion is to do what I showed you in class the other day, which is to multiply, okay, across. So I'm going to multiply this way, and then I'm going to divide by either this number or this number. And if I get the other one, then it's a proportion. And if I get a different number, then it's not. So for example, if I do 6 times 6, that's 36. And then if I divide 36 by 9, what do I get? 4. So that works, right? If I do 6 times 6, I get 36. If I divide it by 4, what do I get? 9. See, it works. What about if I went the other way? If I did 4 times 9, I would get 36. Divided by 6, I would get 6. So I know that this is a proportion. Proportions help us find missing numbers. 2 is to 6 as what number is to 30? So I'm going to start by putting it into what I know. So I've got 2 is to 6 as what number, also an X, is to 30? Now it's important that I put the x on the top because we follow them in the same order. 2 is, what number is? That means that both of those need to go on the top because they came before the is. It's actually saying that those numbers are related to each other. Okay, so now I'm going to do 2 times 30, which is 60. Oh, look at this. I wanted to show you the 3 different ways to do this, to solve it. All right, woohoo! So I can do this with a scale factor by saying 2/6 times what fraction equals 30. So 6 times 5 equals 30. So then this is called my scale factor. I'm going to multiply 2 times 5 and I will get 10. So my answer is 10. Or I can solve it using a proportion where I will multiply across 2 times 30, which is 60, and I'll divide 60 by 6, which is 10. Or I can use an equation, which I'll do cross products, show you that fun one. And you will eventually learn all these ways and need to know how to do them all. So I'm going to say 2 times 30 equals 6 times x. And then I'll do 2 times 30, which is 60, equals 6x. And then right now, these numbers are being multiplied this way. If I read it as multiplication, I've got x times 6 equals 60. If I read it the other way, it's division. 60 divided by 6. I'm going to divide by 6 and divide by 6. And I get x equals 10 because 60 divided by 6 is 10. So there are 3 different ways to solve a proportion. You can use a scale factor. You can multiply and divide, or you can write it out in an equation, and we will get lots of practice with all of these ways. But now you know them, so go ahead and get to work.